Hey everyone, welcome to season 10. We just wanted to let you know that there was a lot of catching up to do at the beginning of this episode. So if you just want to skip straight into the history content, go ahead and start the episode at around the 10-minute mark. But if you want to hear all of our catching up about all the fun and amazing things that we got to do during the season break, as well as to hear about this week's cocktail, you're going to want to listen from the very beginning. Thank you so much for joining us for another really exciting season. Hope you enjoy. This is Hashtag History episode 91. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
I forgot my name because I can't believe I just said 91.
It's weird.
I was going to say like 82 or something like that. That's what was about to come out of my mouth.
91. That's the year I was born.
Oh, so next episode's my golden episode. I like that.
It's our birthday season.
Anyway, I'm Rachel.
Yeah, and I'm Leah. And it is the first episode of season 10. So I am taking her over as tradition requires. But before I do, what have we been up to? Rachel, you want to tell our listeners what we've been doing over the break?
Of course. So we've been doing a lot, per usual. We always, we take these season breaks because we both have full-time jobs. We actually both have pretty busy lives. We were just talking about trying to even just reschedule like our book club meeting. We meet every other month. Yeah. And maybe we're going to meet sometime within the next 6 months because
everybody's schedule is
yes. So the breaks are always great because the podcast does require a lot of time and work. And so it's nice to have that little break. But we always still keep up with things, even if we're not putting out new episodes every single week. One of the really cool things we did over break, the coolest thing we did.
It was really cool.
The coolest thing we did over our break was we appeared on ABC Australia's morning radio show. Yeah. They reached out to us that moment where we both read the email. Like, is this real or is this spam?
You texted me. You were like, read the email.
That's all I said. I said, go to the podcast email account and read the latest email right now. And then I think you responded with just like, throw up emojis.
Yeah. That's right.
Probably. But yeah, so we were contacted by ABC Australia, their morning radio show.
In Brisbane,
thank you. Mm-hmm. Because they had listened to Leah's takeover episode on Operation Mincemeat and loved it and wanted us to do a little short radio segment on it. We were both very, very nervous.
The throw up emoji, accurate.
Completely accurate. But it was so much fun and it was so cool. And we received a lot of support, not just from you guys, our listeners, but from like our family and our friends and stuff, all telling us how cool we were for being on the radio.
Like, multiple after we went on, they let us share our Instagram handle and stuff, and we got like 20 followers like instantaneous.
And then over the course of the next few days, it was like several more followers, a complete spike in our downloads of episodes. Pretty amazing. So
hey Australia,
thank you so much to the Brisbane radio show and also to all of our new Australia listeners and also to everyone that's just been here this whole time supporting us. So that was really fun. I've talked a lot, but the other things that we've done during our break, because we didn't want to lose any traction on like all of the new followers and downloads and stuff that we had. We wanted to put out a couple of hasty history episodes during our season break. So a reminder, those hasty history episodes are just like small little segments. It's just one of us that does it. We don't do the cocktail segment or bloopers or ads or anything like that. It's strictly history content. We've dropped 2 of those, so that was awesome. And I think the final thing we did during our break, we did a giveaway of a shirt. We did like a fun giveaway over on Instagram for exceeding our goal of 50,000 downloads last year. We've already got another 10,000 downloads since then, so we've already far exceeded that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that giveaway was really fun. If you don't follow us on Instagram, be sure to do that because that's where we always do
like contests. And we're going to do a live soon, I promise.
Yes. And we've had a lot of fun doing those lives with you all. So blah, blah, blah. I've rambled a lot. We did a lot of things during our season break and I'm just super happy to be here. I always feel this way when we return.
Yeah.
Is like during the break,
You're like, I don't miss record, all the work that goes into it. But then as soon as we start, it's like, oh, I missed this.
Exactly.
First of all, because it gives me an excuse to hang out with my best friend.
Yes, ditto, of course. An entire day where we just hang out and talk all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So this week, I'm like, of course, you're welcome.
You're welcome for allowing you within my home. You're welcome.
Oh, man. So this week, I am doing something a little different, much like I did on my takeover episode. For those of you who listen, I did an episode on Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess, and other female serial killers of the early modern period.
Uh-huh.
So similar to that, I'm going to dive into multiple stories this week with a slightly deeper dive into one in particular story.
Awesome.
So this week, we are going to be discussing a few stories of what I like to call slack-wearing suffragettes, if you will, with a focus on the Van Buren Sisters, who were two sisters who rode 5,500 miles in 60 days to cross the continental United States, each on their own motorcycle. This happened in 1916, making them the second and third woman to drive motorcycles across the entire continent.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
So my husband's a motorcycle rider.
Yes.
And this is a little bit of like a love letter to him.
Oh.
Just because he likes motorcycles.
Cool. No, I love that. A dedication episode.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, much like your
my Joe Louis episode.
For Alex.
You didn't know that I'm an avid
boxer
watcher. Boxer watcher.
Boxing game.
Yeah. You don't know that I watch all the games? Yeah. That was totally of my own accord.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yay, that's nice. And also, I love that you've been coming in strong with the girl power.
I know. I really have. All of them. Elizabeth Bathory, Catherine the Great, Andre de Jong. I know it's not on purpose, but obviously I have a thing.
I love it.
Yeah. So we will dive into the Van Buren sisters, their impressive feat, and their reason for doing what they did. But first is cocktail time.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is #History,
the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
Yes, so as you all know, on the weeks where Leah takes over the episode, I get to take over the cocktail segment, which means since I get one true chance a season to handpick the cocktail, I really should take it to my full advantage.
Yeah, put in all the effort.
I put in all the things this week.
Well, all the things are definitely in this cocktail.
Yes, you will hear about that shortly. There have been a few times where I have not taken it to my full advantage. I've selected an absolutely disgusting drink simply because it aligned so well with that week's topic. But this time I did 1000% select this cocktail for entirely selfish reasons, and you'll see why shortly.
Okay.
So first of all, we have to thank our dear friend Melissa from Mimosa Sisterhood.
Yay, Melissa!
Melissa sponsored this week's cocktail along with her very generous sponsorship. She also sent along a message which reads bottoms up betches with a bunch of S's, followed by the emoji of the dancing lady in the red dress and also the sideways smiling face.
Love it.
And I'm thinking we're going to look a lot like that sideways smiling face by the time we finish this drink.
So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, so here's the drink. This week, we're trying out the blue motorcycle cocktail. So it was selected in honor of the motorcycle riding Van Buren sisters.
Yes.
This cocktail contains vodka, tequila, rum, gin, blue curacao, sour mix, lemon lime flavored beverage,
soda.
Carbonated beverage, soda. Yes. You shake that all up. Full disclosure, we did not put the soda in the cocktail shaker just because
it said shake it to get frothy, and we were like, that's terrifying.
Yes, we were worried it was going to explode
because we also put both of our double the recipe.
Yes,
which maybe we should have just done
one at a time. Yeah,
or no, just one and split it between the two of us.
You're a genius. Yeah, that's what we should have done. The cocktail shaker was like overflowing. Full disclosure, we have had a couple sips of this cocktail.
Yeah.
As you all know, we generally wait until we're recording to try it together.
Yeah.
But the cup was overflowing.
With pure alcohol.
Pure alcohol. We wouldn't have made it from the kitchen to the recording room without spilling everywhere. So we did have a couple sips. It is very, very strong.
The more I drink it, the more it's good.
Okay. I guess I need to start sipping.
Your cup is much more full than mine.
So let's cheers anyway, even though we've kind of taken some sips.
I love your nail polish, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. Take 4 sips.
All right.
Larger sips.
Oh.
You'll feel better now.
I'll feel better soon. Also, if this is sounding familiar to any of you, yes, it is essentially just a blue Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we did have a very similar drink for our Cheryl Araujo episode.
Mm.
The one main difference with this drink is the addition of that lemon lime soda.
Yeah, which we couldn't fit a lot of in.
Which is why it's very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we said back then, we have long-term relationships with Long Islands.
Yeah.
And this relationship is continuing into season 10. Okay. Oh, rating.
Yes. 5.
Yes.
Yeah?
I think, well, I'm going to go with 6.
Okay.
I think if we had maybe had better planning, thought it through better, made sure it would actually fit in the cocktail shaker, had the correct amounts of the sweet sour mix and
it said a
lemon
dash
lime
of sweet sour mix. I'm like, what is this? What is a dash?
I think it would have been a 10 for me if we had done it differently.
Yeah, I agree.
So don't take our low ratings
to heart. Yeah.
Still try it correctly.
If you have $100 in your pocket to go buy a bottle of every type of alcohol known to man.
And if you have a cocktail shaker that's bigger than your head.
Mm-hmm. Because it did not fit in mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yay. So there is not a ton of information that I could find about the Van Buren sisters' childhood and early life, but we're going to dive in and I am going to tell you what I do know. So Augusta, or nicknamed Gussie Van Buren, was born in March of 1884, and her sister Adeline, or Addie, was born in July of 1889.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me before we get further in that we don't know too much about their childhood, because now that you've said kind of the time period, generally you don't even know anything about these women until they like get married, and then their association.
Yeah, then their husbands get famous.
Exactly.
So not
and a lot of the time too, those were exact years?
Exact years.
Okay.
I couldn't find their exact birth date.
Yeah, and that's
I found
what I'm
their
saying.
month.
It's very common.
Yeah. So they had one brother, Albert, and they were raised in New York City by their father, Frank. They were born into a life of what was described as privilege. They were actually direct descendants of former President Van Buren. Pop quiz.
8th president.
Oh, that's what I was
going to ask me. 8th president.
Nerd.
Yep. I do a lot of trivia.
No, I know. That's why I did a pop quiz.
I love it. You can confirm that I didn't Google that.
No, it was.
This was not edited.
Literally, there wasn't even a pause.
Yeah, not edited to make it sound like I responded sooner.
So, being descendants of Van Buren and living a life of privilege assured them the safe and respectable existence of society women. But their mother passed away when they were young, leaving their father to raise them. He offered them a free-spirited childhood full of swimming, skating, canoeing, wrestling, and sprinting alongside their brother, which eventually led them to motorcycling in their early adult years.
Cool.
Yeah. So to give a little background to their eventual motorcycle journey, it was the early 20th century. Women did not have the right to vote and were relegated mostly to domestic duties and child rearing. It was widely believed that they didn't have the time nor brains to understand and participate in politics. Another notorious argument of the time declared that women should be denied a say at the polls due to their lack of participation in military efforts and because they weren't risking their lives for their country. Neither were a lot of dudes, but...
But also, were they given the opportunity?
But also, could they? Yeah. Unsurprisingly, based on the very short background description of their lives, Augusta and Adeline were members of the suffrage movement in their early adult lives, which, for those who need a refresher, suffragettes were groups or organizations of women across the nation and around the world who fought for women's right to vote. And this reminds me so much of our book club book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was really great. Yeah, we just recently read Dictionary of Lost
Words.
The Dictionary of Lost Words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was wonderful.
Everybody liked. Yeah.
Everyone liked it. And it was neat the way that it kind of weaved its way through American history and the suffrage movement.
Yeah. In addition to being misogynists in 1916, the U.S. was also gearing up to enter World War I, and as a result, the National Preparedness Movement took wing. This movement was a campaign started by former President Theodore Roosevelt. What number president?
25. Can you look? That one I'm not confident. 24, 25, 26.
26. Oh, you were so close. Anyway, so it was started by Theodore Roosevelt. That began prior to the United States entry into World War I. Mm-hmm. The movement was started to convince the U.S., its politicians, and its people of the need for American involvement in worldly affairs and that the country must prepare itself for war. And shocker, the Van Buren sisters were also members and supporters of this movement. And so, with their rather unique background in motorcycle riding, the Van Buren sisters came up with an idea to showcase both of the movements that meant so much to them, the preparedness movement and the suffrage movement.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We're meshing things.
We're meshing.
I like that.
Yeah. So Augusta and Adeline believed women could and should directly help the cause by becoming dispatch riders, which is very specific.
Okay.
So dispatch riders had just recently transitioned from men on horseback to men on motorcycles at this time.
Oh.
So this would free up those men who would traditionally be dispatch riders to join combat positions, which women were not allowed to fill. But being the tricksy little hobbitses they were, it served a dual purpose. It would also eliminate one of the arguments for denying women the right to vote, their non-participation in the war effort. Mm-hmm. So Augusta and Adeline were determined to prove that they were just as patriotic and deserving of the vote as men.
Love this.
Yeah. So they had an idea, but how were they going to prove that women could take on this task? But of course, by simply riding across the entire country on motorcycles.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
While listening to a podcast.
Yeah, their iPods were loaded. This feat would surely prove that women could handle the difficulties of motorcycling over long distances and tough conditions, as well as navigating difficult trails, performing bike maintenance, and staying clear of, quote, opposing forces.
Yeah, I think there's no better way to prove that if you're literally riding across the country.
Yeah. So Indian Motorcycles provided the sisters with 2 1916 Power Plus bikes in return for publicity, which reminds me so much of Long Way Round with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman. I feel like I've tried to push this on you multiple times and it just hasn't taken. So
it hasn't even taken
Ewan
to where
McGregor,
this series is like, even the name doesn't sound familiar to me.
Ewan McGregor,
the
actor,
yes,
has ridden around the world on his motorcycle with his best friend Charlie Boorman.
We have talked about this.
And then, that wasn't enough. They did the Long Way Down series where they rode from England, again, all the way down to the tip of Africa.
Oh, wow.
And then they did the Long Way Up series in 2019 or 2020 where they rode from the bottom of South America all the way up to LA.
Okay.
So
we have talked about this before.
Yeah,
now I feel bad.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. It's so good. It makes me want to be best friends with Ewan McGregor, but even more so Charlie Boorman. Look him up. He's so cool. Anyways, whatever. A motorcycle company sponsored them in this series, and it reminds me a lot of this.
Sure.
Now, all of the following information goes over my head, or really just I don't care enough to try to understand it. But for any of you gearheads interested, these Power Plus bikes provided by Indian Motorcycles, it was their first flathead V-twin engine bikes with 16 horsepower output.
Oh, yep. I know exactly what all of that meant. Yep.
They sold for $275 at the time, which I looked it up and is the equivalent of about $7,000 today. So these motorcycles donned Firestone non-skid tires and a gaslit headlight, super safe, which would allow the pair to ride through the night when necessary. Now, this all sounds cool, I guess, but there were downsides to these bikes as well. They had no suspension, no shock absorbers, and didn't carry a lot of fuel, all of which would make for an unpleasant ride.
Totally.
So to prepare for the trip, Augusta and Adeline immersed themselves in riding and started accumulating long-distance practice rides in New York, where they're from. Then on July 4th, 1916, which was the eve of the U.S.'s entry into the Great War, as it was known at the time, the Van Buren sisters, now aged 32 and 26, set out on their adventure. So they left from Sheepshead Bay Racetrack in Brooklyn, New York, traveling through Times Square and onto the Lincoln Highway, which would lead them eventually to Lincoln Park in San Francisco.
Cool.
So I have a map here.
Oh my God. Okay, so, I mean, it's a map all the way across the United States, pretty much toward the center of the United States. You can see that they're hitting San Francisco, they're hitting Carson City, Nevada, Arizona. I mean, they're hitting all the places. Let me see. I'm going to call out like a couple.
Yeah.
Colorado Springs, Colorado, Omaha.
So what I found interesting about this is that from Brooklyn, they didn't just like cut straight across. They actually did like a loop up through I think, is it Maine or
it's not
Massachusetts? Yeah. And then kind of started cutting across by the Great Lakes, which I'm like, oh,
do you
they
know
even
why?
went out of their... No,
okay,
I don't know why.
And I'm just taking a wild guess, and this is strictly from my own perspective, but if I were to cut straight across the United States, I also would do a tiny little loop there at the end to make sure I captured all the sightseeing things.
That's true. That is true. Also, that might be just where roads led at the time.
But yeah, very cool. Like straight shot across the United States, but hitting a lot of really infamous locations.
Yeah, love it. So the roads would not be easy for the sisters. Most routes were like gross and muddy. Some were literally just cow paths through fields. Because remember, it's 1916. There weren't like highways across the United States. And we have to also remember that fuel was incredibly difficult to find. Right. They often encountered broke chains and flat tires and were solely responsible for fixing their own bike issues on their own with limited tools that they were able to carry on the bikes with them.
You just calling that out makes me even more impressed with them.
Like they had to also like know how to be a mechanic.
Exactly. Mechanics. And even I would venture to say, like sometimes you face issues that no matter how much you've trained for, like even if they knew the bike inside and out, there's going to be things that they weren't anticipating. Yeah. And they were just quick thinkers, logical thinkers that just figured it out.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Audible. Audible is the leading provider in spoken word entertainment and audiobooks. They have titles ranging from news, self-development, business, fiction, and more. Not only do they have audiobooks, but they also have podcasts, wellness guidance programs, and more. The best thing about Audible is that you can download titles to listen to offline, anytime, anywhere, across all devices without losing your spot. And Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. Maybe pick one of my most recent favorites, titled The Betrayal of Anne Frank, a cold case investigation written by Rosemary Sullivan. If you would like to try out a free 30-day trial, you can do that right now using our link at www.audibletrial.com/#history. That's www.audibletrial.com/#history.
Weather was also not their friend, and we'll get into this a little bit more as I tell this story. It is said to have ranged from heavy rain for days to unyielding desert sun. So I do have another photo that I'd love us to view.
This is them?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're so cute, right?
I love them so much. They're stunning.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, amazing women.
Yeah.
Now that I've seen them, I love them so much.
And they're on these badass motorcycles, like covered in like dirt and mud.
Yes, completely covered in dirt. They both look amazing. And if I can read it correctly, they have like kind of banners going across their motorcycles. It says coast to coast, maybe?
Yep.
Love this so much.
So cute. You guys should definitely check it out.
Yes.
One other thing I want to discuss was their apparel. It should be noted that modern day helmets were not a thing at the time.
Yeah.
They wore leather caps and goggles as protection. They also wore military jackets and leather breeches, which was very, very uncommon for the time for women. I wanted to take a look at this photo of them with another woman while they were on their trip.
Okay. Oh, yes. This is kind of what I was hoping to see. Yeah, stark difference. So we have the two Van Buren sisters looking stunning.
Yeah.
But certainly different than the woman at the center of the picture.
They're like dirty and wearing pants.
Yeah.
And you can tell the woman is like, what the f***
Oh, she's not sure she's in the Twilight Zone or not. That's what her face is saying right now.
It's like, huh?
And I should also say she looks stunning as well.
Yeah.
But she has like long necklace on, beautiful dress, high heels, it looks like.
Yeah, probably.
Next to these equally stunning sisters. But yeah, there is
just such different, like
stark difference.
Yeah, they were truly an oddity everywhere they went because of their apparel. Mm-hmm. They were often stopped along their trip by people wanting to take photos, just like this one, or figure out what the heck they were doing, like women riding motorcycles. And remember, like at the time, there's probably places they were going through that they didn't even like have cars, and these women were riding motorcycles through there. So while women's fashion was shifting at the time from corsets to more casual attire, also floor-length hems to like scandalous knee-length dresses. Right. Shorter haircuts were also beginning to appear. Dresses were still very much considered the standard, though.
Yes.
And not just the standard, also the law in some places.
I'm glad that you called that out, because I think that's totally true, that as we see fashion change, right? We see that a lot for these women. The standards don't change quite as much, right? But you're absolutely right that, like, yes, the dresses were shorter. Yes, the waistline was different. Yes, they were a little more flashy, but they were still dresses.
Yeah, and you still had to wear them.
Yes. I think that's a super important call out.
Yeah. One instance to kind of showcase the fact that they were wearing pants and the legalities of it. In one instance, the sisters were stopped just outside of Chicago by a police officer, not for speeding, but for the way they were dressed. You see, in 1916, it was still illegal in many states for women to wear pants. And this actually reminded me so much of your Hasty Histories.
Yes, we dropped a Hasty History episode about a woman who was arrested for smoking.
Yep.
And what I said in that episode, and I'm going to say again in this one, is, do you not have something better to do?
Yes! Well, clearly not.
They were pulled over for wearing pants.
Yes. Like how, anyways, the whole thing is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
So this Chicago incident, it wasn't an isolated occurrence. Ugh. Their trip ended up being extended from 1 month to 2 months, so double, not only due to the bad weather they encountered and other unexpected delays, but due to the constant arrests for their attire.
Their trip was extended due to their arrest. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I had to repeat what you said.
No, I appreciate that.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Their trip was literally extended because they were getting arrested over and over for their clothing.
Yeah. In August, I'm breezing past that because it makes me angry.
Yeah, we're just going to move right along.
We're moving on. In August of 1916, they had reached Colorado. Due to their delays, they decided not to travel north through Wyoming as originally planned and instead took on the Rockies.
Oh, okay.
They became the first women in history to reach the 14,109-foot summit of Pike Peak by motorized vehicle.
Oh.
And on August 6th, they told the Colorado Springs Gazette-Telegraph, quote, "We didn't really feel that we had achieved anything wonderful until yesterday," end quote.
I have goosebumps all over. I love that.
Yeah, so they already made it to Colorado and they're like, that was nothing. This was actually difficult.
This felt like something. Wouldn't you say that you experience that all the time in everyday life?
Yes.
Like, and I would say that for like the podcast. Like, yeah, we have a lot of wonderful listeners. We've done a lot of great things.
But 50K,
we were on Australia radio.
That felt big.
Yeah, that felt big. That felt like something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally. So while continuing through the Rockies, they endured more heavy rain, freezing weather, and muddy roads. Conditions were apparently so bad that at one point they had to leave their bikes, stuck in a mud pit, and walk on foot until they could find help. They did eventually get back on the road, but continued to encounter unfortunate weather. And one thing I continue to read through all the articles is like their absolute like appreciation and love for the people that came and helped them. Other than obviously being arrested for wearing pants, they were like
the way that you said that almost sounded like it was a joke.
No, it's
because
real.
It's so outrageous. Like, wait, what?
Other than that,
yeah,
they continued to say like the people have been nothing but kind and helpful. Like I think in this specific instance they like went to some mining town and the miners like came and helped dig their motorcycles out of like a mud pit or whatever.
Great. I'm glad.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see and read that.
Yeah.
Heavy winds near Salt Lake City literally erased the desert trail they were following at the time. They were low on fuel and water, but luckily, again, another instance of a good Samaritan, there was a prospector that happened upon the stranded lost pair who was able to point them in the right direction and load them up with some of his own supplies from his own stuff and send them on their way. Now, with literal history being made already by their Colorado expedition, records being broken constantly, and an impressive story of overcoming countless obstacles, you would think that news outlets would be all over this adventure.
Sure.
Sadly, that was not the case.
Of course. Sure. And of course. Yep.
Most of the coverage of their trip was by motorcycle magazines and really just focused solely on the bikes. Like, it actually left out the fact that women were riding them. It didn't focus on the bikers at all.
Sure.
Others simply ignored the historical significance of the journey and criticized that the Van Burens were forsaking their roles as housewives, and that's a direct quote. The Denver Post actually went so far as to accuse the pair of exploiting the war, abandoning their duties at home, and, quote, displaying their feminine contours in nifty khaki and leather uniforms, end quote.
Gross.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Grossed out. Any press that did acknowledge the riders and not the bikes was filled with negativity, really. This didn't stop the sisters, though. On September 2nd, almost exactly 2 months after departing Brooklyn, they arrived in San Francisco and just for shits and giggles continued on to Los Angeles and then Tijuana.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. So they had already traveled 5,500 miles, earning their second record and becoming the first women again to ride solo cross-country on motorcycles, and the second and third women to ride across the U.S. on motorcycles, like, at all.
Wow.
Sadly, their amazing accomplishment did little to further their goals of equality. Their applications to become dispatch riders for the U.S. Army were rejected.
Although they had completely and entirely demonstrated their capabilities.
And probably
and
had more
passion.
experience than most men that were assigned to that role.
Excellent point.
Women would wait another 4 years for the right to vote and another world war for the chance to serve in the military. But they didn't let that defeat them. Augusta became a pilot and joined the 99s, which was an international organization of female pilots, which was actually included Amelia Earhart, and she was the founder and first president of this group.
Cool.
And then Adeline went on to earn a Juris Doctorate in New York. Yeah, snaps
Love
to
that for her.
They were inducted into the American Motorcyclist Association Hall of Fame in 2002. And I know that they also were inducted into multiple motorcycling associations and halls of fames after the fact, but that was the big one.
I loved that. It makes me sad that, the efforts of these two women didn't change the tides of history insofar as equality for women, but I don't want to, we faced that a lot. One of the hasty histories that we dropped, in between the season break was similar in that it was the story of Carmelita Torres, who, took a stance in the face of inhumanity during the Bath riots. And unfortunately, despite her bravery and her courage, it didn't actually change the tides.
Yeah.
But I don't want to negate the accomplishments of these women.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to have changed history in order for it to have been an accomplishment. You did wonderful, amazing things.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that we're recognizing them for that.
Yeah, and I think there's the argument of, well, what does this matter? Is this history? It's just because it didn't, as you said, change the course of history doesn't mean that it's not important and an important case study into the time and the people and their significance, even if it didn't affect the grand scheme.
And I would argue to say butterfly effect too. Were there women that did end up changing the course of history because they were inspired by these women, because of their stories and their experiences and their accomplishments?
That woman who was in the picture, did she feel inspired to go maybe wear pants? You know what I mean? Little things. I love that, the butterfly effect. Yeah. Even though they didn't get what they wanted and didn't
change the course of history
as we might see it, they probably did affect things on little scales.
Minor scales that ended up becoming a major scale.
Yeah. I like that.
Minor scale to major scale.
Key change.
Key change.
Literal key change, because now, before we wrap up the episode, I did want to dive into a couple of other slack-wearing suffragettes.
Wonderful.
These are really short little snippet stories that I wanted to share. In 1852, a 17-year-old named Emma Snodgrass, she garnered national attention for wearing pants and trousers.
Okay, great.
The Boston Herald dubbed her the Wanderer in men's apparel.
What?
And the New York Daily Times reported her scandalously, quote, donning the breeches, end quote. News must have been slow in 1852.
Oh my God. I laugh at it, but I hate it too.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where it's like dark humor. You can't help but laugh.
It's dark humor, that's for sure.
Snodgrass worked as a clerk at a clothing company under the male name George Green, apparently. And even with the numerous newspaper articles fixating on her clothing choices, she continued to wear pants and continued to be arrested for her, quote, menacing behavior.
Gross.
Yeah. Lucky for Emma, her father held some sort of high position in the New York Police Department, which may have contributed to her never actually serving jail time for her quote crimes and her arrests. But she had a friend, Harriet French, who often joined her in wearing slacks and was not so lucky and was sent to jail for wearing pants.
I feel like that's a story in absurdity, but also a story in privilege and connections.
Yeah. So when asked in an 1856 interview why they chose to wear pants despite it being against the law, French, so the friend, said they dressed as men to, quote, get more wages, end quote. So not only was wearing pants a statement of rejecting patriarchal tradition, but it also gave the women more money. I'm assuming to spend on trousers.
I would say now that, you said that about, it was the 1850s.
Yeah.
That is pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, they were going as men.
Yeah.
Like, it's
to
not just
get more wages.
They were wearing pants. They were going as men.
It wasn't just a fashion statement.
Yeah.
It was, is this what I have to do to actually get the wages? Equal
that I
wages that I deserve?
Yeah.
Fascinating. That's pre-Civil War period. I really super love to hear that. That is a story that I have never heard, and I feel like a lot of people haven't heard because, when we hear about women changing the course of history and changing the tides and starting to wear pants and fighting for the right to vote, it's in the, the 1900s, early
like
1900s.
The 1910s to obviously onward. Yeah.
Yes.
So our next contestant is Helen Hulick, and I think you're going to like this one. Okay. In 1938, Los Angeles, Hulick, a 28-year-old kindergarten teacher, arrived in an LA courtroom to testify against 2 burglary suspects, and she was wearing slacks. So it's 1938.
This is 1938.
Yeah. So the judge was so offended by her outfit that he told her to come back wearing a dress. She arrived 5 days later, donning another pair of slacks for her testimony. The judge was not pleased. He was quoted to say to her wardrobe and her actions, quote, defied the court and its duties to conduct judicial proceedings in an orderly manner, end quote.
Yeah, because she was a distraction.
Yeah, totally. A distraction to him? Question mark?
Yes. This kind of reminds me, too, of my cousin Vinny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That, his clothing is a distraction. Granted, that's different, but also the same.
Yeah. So he once again told her to return to testify in a dress.
No.
And warned that she would be punished if she returned again with pantaloons on.
Absolutely not.
Hulick responded by saying, quote, I've worn slacks since I was 15.
Of course.
I don't own a dress except a formal. I'll come back in slacks, and if he puts me in jail, I hope it will help to free women forever of anti-slackism, end quote. That's a direct quote.
Okay, I got goosebumps, and can we please create merchandise that says anti-slackism on them?
Yes, of course we can.
I am so inspired right now.
Add it to the list while I keep going.
I am so inspired right now. Anti-slackism.
Yeah.
But she's right, too. This time period in history,
women were wearing slacks. No, it's LA. But apparently, and what I kind of gathered from the articles I read on this is that, women wear slacks out, but they were expected to dress a certain way in formal situations, and the courtroom was a formal situation.
She was causing a distraction to the judge because she was wearing pants that covered her entire legs.
Yeah. Saw too much of that ass.
Hate this, love this.
Okay. She returned. Sorry.
Love this, hate this.
She returned for a third time in her slacks.
I love her.
And I know. And the judge gave her a 5-day jail sentence for contempt of court. In jail, Hulick's contraband pants were taken from her and swapped for a denim prison dress. Yes, I guess that was a thing. Women prisoners wore denim dresses.
I did not know that, and I was anticipating you saying, like, her pants
were swapped for another pair of pants.
What?
Yeah. So Hulick's lawyer negotiated her release and took her case to appellate court, where the original judge's ruling of contempt was overturned.
Mm.
I want you to check the photo out that I have here. So
wait, this is her?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a girl crush.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What?
I want you to read it too.
I will, but I'm kind of still stuck on her because she is
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Hot.
She's hot. I have a girl crush. Okay. Helen Hulick, who's on the left side of the photo, or anyone else for that matter, can wear pants in the court of Judge Arthur S. Buren, also pictured here above. It was ruled in Los Angeles yesterday. Oh my God. Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Now, these are just a few stories of women being arrested for donning trousers, but as I'm sure you can imagine, there were a ton more.
Yeah.
And even more stories about suffragettes wearing trousers in public and being harassed, mocked, and shunned by their loved ones, let alone strangers. Trousers on women were controversial, even within the suffragette movement. Some would say that the scandal that came along with the pant wearers downplayed and diminished what they were really trying to do in the suffragette movement, which was get voting rights for women. Mm-hmm. But even so, these women can be admired for their courage and conviction.
Absolutely.
And for their downright disregard for stupid, outdated laws.
And I would venture again to say, for the butterfly effect.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope these stories served as a little bit of inspiration to go out there and break the rules for the causes that really matter to you.
Yes.
I will leave you with the words of Augusta Van Buren, quote, "Woman can if she will," end quote.
Okay, I'm about to cry.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of #History.
We will share the pictures that we discussed on the episode to our Instagram, and then all the sources used to put together this episode can be found on our website at #history-pod.com.
Subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use and share about us with your family and friends, and then give us a rate and review.
Speaking of our Instagram, be sure to follow us on there. It's #history_podcast. We also have a TikTok now. We've been spending all day today creating TikToks, so be sure to check us out over there on #history, and that's all one word.
And come join us over on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can help support our books and booze supply. You also get access to some behind-the-scenes content, weekly #hangout episodes, and automatic 15% off all merchandise, and we also mail you cards and stickers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
First season of whoa.
Put together Maybe this was the thing the whole time.
Could have been.
Season 10.
This is the season.
God, we say that. There's going to be one episode that's
yeah
because of me.
No.
Okay.
Stop.
No, but there will be. I'll mess up on one of them. Okay.
No. Excuse me, I just burped. Mm. You wouldn't know.
Mm-mm.
To enter...
Alex says that to me all the time. He's like, you know when you burp how... Oh, no, wait, you wouldn't know.
Yeah? Where am I?
Which means McKinley was 25, I think.
You're such a dork. You're like...
Now that I think about this.
Oh, my God. Where am I?
Sorry.
Uploading
Uh-oh. It didn't work.
Oh, no.
When I clicked on it.
It didn't work for me either. You bitch. Oh, wait, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, my God. I'm struggling.
You're doing great, honey. Is that what it is?
You're doing
great, sweetheart.
Yeah.